So we have some people
Be
from
quiet.
Crossroads Middle School South, which I actually did my husband used to work there, and I did my student teaching in Crossroads Middle North. So great school. We have a tech teacher from Melbourne. We have Krista Delaney from Egg Harbor Township, science teacher from Timberland Middle School in Pennington. I think that's down the street from me and CC&J. Leanne Parham from DOE, the NJDOE coordinator. Nice. Maywood Avenue School, grade 4. So we have a lot of great people joining us today. Thank you all for joining.
Yeah, and Lenny, I think I see you there listed as
Mhm.
my name as well because I shared that link with you that you were not sure you had.
Ah,
So I'm not two different people today. That's
oh,
Lenny from the DOE there. We're really grateful to have you here. I think you're from Health and PE, if I'm not mistaken.
That is correct. Thanks, Elaine, for sharing that link. And hello, Rosalie. And appreciate you doing that. And so right now, I am Elaine.
thank you for joining us, Whitney.
We're happy to have you here. Glad that worked.
We also have someone from Franklin Township and Long Branch Public Schools. So, do you want us to get started, Elaine? I think
Yeah,
it's 5:02 for
we'll
Central Time.
yeah, we'll go ahead and get started. Uh, I'll start and introduce myself and then pass it back to Rosalie. I'm Elaine Makrovich. I am the Director of State Leads with Subject to Climate and a former elementary educator. I taught for 30 years in Sussex County, a K-6 elementary school, and excited to be partnering with Subject to Climate, with the New Jersey Hub, and collaborating with amazing educators across the state. I'm also excited to share. I was the New Jersey state lead. I still sort of am in a transition period, but we have Dr. Carrie Gallagher here with us today. She's also one of our fellows, and she was recently offered the position to be our new New Jersey state lead. So I welcome her. You'll hear from her a little bit later when she shares her unit, and you'll also see some of her background. So happy happy to share that very new New Jersey news with all of you. So she'll be our connector going forward. But I'll pass over to Rosalie to introduce herself to you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Rosalie Morillo. I am the program manager at Sustainable Jersey. Specifically, I work with climate change education and the digital schools program. Previous to my employment here, I was an English secondary ed educator. And I taught the high school level, 9 through 12, all different things. We've seen creative writing and digital media and all this, we wear many hats as educators. So now I'm happy to be here and, happy to be partnering with Subject to Climate, and to present these wonderful resources for all of you today. Also, Elaine, at some
So as we get, oh,
sometimes
sure, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna mention sometimes your audio kind of comes in and out. So I just wanted to just like take note of that. I don't know if maybe your picture, like if you take off the video, maybe that helps a little bit. Maybe it's because you're sharing. I'm not sure.
Thanks for letting me know. Yeah, I'll try to take the video off for a
Mhm.
bit. We'll see if that's helpful.
Mhm.
So, as we prepare for this evening, we have just under an hour with you, and our focus wants to be on most of the time being spent with our New Jersey fellows who are educators just like you or that you work with, who are the ones that developed these units. So, our agenda is going to focus on reviewing the New Jersey Climate Education Hub. Just curious for those of you that know of it, never heard of it, aren't sure, maybe if you could put that in the chat, it would be great to know. We'll also spend some time reviewing what exactly our New Jersey Unit Plan project was. You'll meet the New Jersey educators, as I mentioned, and we'll have opportunities for you to stay connected with Subject to Climate and Sustainable Jersey in a variety of ways. So I'll start with what is the New Jersey Climate Education Hub? And I'm curious, Rosalie, do you see, is there anyone in the chat that has or hasn't heard?
Krista Delaney is very familiar with the Climate Education Hub, but some people are not, they're saying in the chat. So this is great.
Super. So what I'm going to do is walk you through using some slides rather than touring you through the website itself, just for the time that we're in. Like I said, I want to get to those educators. But the New Jersey Climate Education Hub is essentially one of the state hubs developed by Subject to Climate. Subject to Climate is a nonprofit organization whose mission is to empower all educators to effectively and easily teach about climate change, justice, and action. And we all see our vision where in the future, all children are learning about climate change education, and even more importantly, becoming stewards of our planet as our future citizens and leaders. So the New Jersey Climate Education Hub, as I mentioned, is sort of a website that falls under the core site of Subject to Climate, and we currently have 6 states, New Jersey, Wisconsin, Oregon, Maine, New York, Connecticut, and 2 more coming in 2025. And what's wonderful about this specific website is it's a resource database along with lessons and resources developed by New Jersey educators that are place-based. So on our core site, you can find over 2,000 resources that can be used across the country, even globally. But what's great about the new courses and lessons are focused to you as a New Jersey educator, including New Jersey learning standards, which we know are important to focus on and link to the work that we're doing. We also take an interdisciplinary approach where we know that it's not easy for educators to add one more thing to what you're doing. So instead, we're looking at what teachers are already teaching and focused on, and we're infusing these topics and the New Jersey climate ed standards that were added K to 12. And that was essentially where the New Jersey Hub came to be. It was a collaborative effort with Sustainable Jersey that Rosalie works with. And back in 2021, we did a joint venture along with New Jersey Audubon, New Jersey School Boards Association, TCNJ, and Dr. Lauren Madden, and created this hub aligned to all things that New Jersey educators might want. So to explore a bit more of it, I'll just share with you a little bit of the highlights of that resource database. As I mentioned, we have more than 2,000 resources, and we span K to 12. Each resource, lesson plan, video, news article, anything you find has been vetted by a team of climate scientists and educators as well. So you can feel really confident that anything that you find on the New Jersey Hub to use in your classroom, you might find it today, and you can feel great about showing that video tomorrow because it's already been reviewed for you. We have a lot of content that's provided by a wide variety of leaders and innovators in climate change education. We have work from Rutgers University. We have lessons and resources from NOAA. All of the essential organizations that have done the work over the recent years and even across time in the space of sustainability, environmental education, climate change education. Those are the partners and the organizations that we've connected you to. And here's what we love: the lessons by teachers for teachers. They know what you need because they need it as well. Their standards aligned so that any lesson that you take that's built by Subject to Climate by our New Jersey educators aligns completely with what needs to be taught in your classroom. So you can check off that curriculum box anytime you use anything from our site. Additionally, we have them as lessons or units, and Also some smaller standalone activities. So if you're just looking for a news article for a start of class or an end of class or a small worksheet, we have all types of activities. Our professional development portion of the New Jersey Hub is also very inclusive of a lot of different opportunities you might be looking for as a New Jersey educator. And I'll start with our featured courses. We have 3 modules, and the teachers you're going to be hearing from later this evening have taken those 3 modules as part of their training. Level 0 being the first step in learning what is climate change, and it's explained in a way in an asynchronous format so that you can feel confident that as you are working in this capacity as a teacher and trying these lessons, that you feel like you have a good solid foundation in the science and in the facts. The second module in these courses takes it into the classroom. So it gives you climate change teaching tips. And then the third piece prepares you to think through and actually helps guide you through developing your own lesson plans so you can feel confident taking your lessons into the classroom. In addition to those, we also link any new and relevant and upcoming New Jersey professional development. For example, we have the Climate Change Learning Collaboratives, the CCLCs. We have their websites linked, and they're offering professional development across the school year and into the summer. So we link those for you so you can go to one place. We kind of think of it as a one-stop shop where you can find the resources, the lessons, professional development. We even have guidance for administrators and school boards. Teacher guides is something else that we've been developing more recently. These are a great way for you to take a step into thinking through, well, how could I start? Maybe you're not quite ready to launch a full lesson, but maybe you want to think about how it could connect to your math classroom or your ELA classroom. And we have teacher guides for all grade bands, K to 12. This is one of my favorites, the News for Students. We've partnered with the Juice, and they develop these relevant and timely news articles for students, grades 5 through 12. You can adjust the comprehension level so you can raise those literacy levels for your students. I used to use these with my 6th graders. I would select 3 or 4 and link them to their Google Classroom and let them choose what or who they wanted to read about. And there's a comprehension question at the end, which is really wonderful. The ELA teachers loved that I was sort of helping that literacy cause. Now I'm going to pass it back to Rosalie, who's going to talk to you about specifically what is this project that we partnered with Sustainable Jersey and the Department of Education to create these units, and then we'll get you to those examples soon.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Elaine. So to provide a little bit more context of the project and that we worked with SubjectToClimate with the help of the Department of Education, in the process, we realized that a lot of elementary educators had a lack of resources when teaching climate change education. We did a couple of professional developments and we kept on hearing the same feedback. So this was a focus that we wanted to work on. So what we came up with is having exemplar lesson plans that were inquiry-based, New Jersey-centric, and aligned to the New Jersey student climate standards. And to serve as a model for integrating climate change education across all content areas. Many science teachers are very familiar with climate change, but we're finding elementary school teachers that teach multiple content areas are struggling a little bit more with incorporating climate change into their classroom. So this was a way to kind of bring that all together. Next slide. So the goal was 50 exemplar lesson plans, highlighting all the strategies addressed causes or impact of climate change in 9 distinct content areas. Not going to read the content areas to you, but also something that was really important to us was that they were age appropriate. In the time of climate anxiety, we want to think about more of the relationship that students have with the environment as opposed to thinking about more of a doom and gloom approach. So that was something that we also took into account, which we'll see in the next slide as well. So the results were 18 K through 5 unit plans, 3 lesson plans per unit. We really wanted them to be interdisciplinary focused, really standard based, different diverse perspectives, bilingual lessons, which to me was like such a great win for us. There's such a lack of resources for bilingual students, and that's something that we really wanted to focus on. And student focused action, social emotional learning, as we talked a little bit about climate anxiety. And all the teachers and student materials are intact with these units. So teachers don't have to develop anything. It's really just you pick it up and you're ready to go if you need to. But there are also the options to modify it to fit the needs of your students as well as the needs of your classroom. And just a deep understanding of environmental context, concepts, conditions, and issues, really just helping with the foundational knowledge as well. Next. All right, so now go ahead.
Yeah, we'll get started with our New Jersey Fellows. We have several here with us. The first, I'd like to introduce Krista Delaney, and we have her brief bio there, so I won't read that to you, but I'll pass it to Krista so that she can share her work and highlight her unit that she created as part of this project. Krista.
Hi, everyone. So I actually am a high school teacher, but I wanted to join in and write lessons that would be helpful for elementary teachers. And the lesson that I wrote is a grade 5 green transportation ELA unit. So in that unit, there's a couple of different things that I did, but I planned my unit. I have notes here, that's what I'm looking at. I planned my unit by finding resources to use and then focused on the ELA standards. And I also try to tie in some math standards too. So there was both standards within the lesson, focusing on data analysis. Also within the lessons, I had vocabulary cards that I thought would be helpful to show students that had questions maybe about what does that mean? What are we talking about in this lesson? The lesson focuses on green transportation and focuses on the best way to reduce carbon emissions. So the first part, the standard is related to writing and interviewing. The second lesson was linked to air pollution, and the students were reading a text and picking out central ideas. And then the third lesson is making something creative, an informational poster, and then presenting that using that data. So that's how the data piece came in also. The students, when they did interviews, they were collecting the data, and then we're going to make pie charts for how people that they were familiar with, they were interviewing about what they thought was the best way to reduce carbon emissions related to transportation. And it was really fun writing a lesson outside the high school realm and thinking about what my own kids, what I would want them to be learning in 5th grade about green transportation, and also trying to put a lot in the an ELA teacher could pull this lesson out for all different things. Maybe it's focusing on interviewing or doing a poster, presenting. It could be used in different ways. And that is my lesson.
Thanks so much, Krista. Really appreciate you sharing. And I just wanted to mention that Rosalie and I do have time kind of allotted at the end for questions. So we'll ask when we near that point, we'll ask you to share in the chat or unmute, but we'll continue to let our fellows share their units with you first. We'll go on. Oh, go ahead.
I wanted to also mention, just so that you guys, as the people the teachers are discussing or presenting their units, I am going to put the link in the chat so you guys can explore it as well, because sometimes it's really good to see in real time what we're talking about.
Great. So next we have Tina Ezzo, and I'll send it over to Tina to share her work with us.
Hi, everyone. As Elaine said, my name is Tina Ezzo, and I am actually a middle school science teacher in South Brunswick. And I've taught biology and ecology for the last 10 years. So when I was asked to develop a lesson focusing on life cycles and adaptations, I thought, well, that's in my wheelhouse. But then they said it was third grade in social studies. So not really what I have been doing. And it was exciting to get to try something new and to create a lesson. Like Krista said, what would be great for younger students to be learning right now. So after some brainstorming, I eventually settled on the life cycle of the state tree of New Jersey, the northern red oak. And my first lesson introduces the red oak as the state tree of New Jersey. It focuses on the red oak life cycle and some adaptations, as well as the importance of trees in the fight against climate change. Um, and then in the second lesson, we really get more focused on human activity, the effect of human activity on the forests of New Jersey. We start a lot of interpretation through maps and visual representations over time. I found a really cool time machine tool that you put in an address and it shows you that area as it appeared in 1930, and then you move the slider and it shows you what it looks like now in 2020. So it's really interesting for students to be able to explore like the address of their school or their home or their community center or something like that, and to see what it was long ago and how it looks now and how it's different, and it leads to all kinds of conversations. I also found and added to the lesson nature journaling, but that was something that then I was able to bring into my own middle school classrooms. So that's been really cool. And then the final lesson focuses on how climate change may be impacting the red oaks of New Jersey, as well as the animals that live in and around and off of, the acorns that the red oaks produce, with a culminating activity that encourages students to make a presentation to either their PTO or their school board to request support to be able to plant some red oaks, either on school property or out in the community somewhere. So those are my 3 lessons.
Thanks so much, Tina. And we'll welcome Pamela Fellner to share about her wind energy unit.
Hi, everybody. How are you? So I did a couple of units for SubjectToClimate. The one that is on the agenda is related to wind energy and fractions. This is intended to be a 5th grade fractions lesson plan. I'm sorry, can you hear that water running in the background? Is that bothering you? No? Okay, I have like a hydroponic fish tank, and of course it decides to just start now when it's my turn to speak. Okay, so initially when I chose the topic of wind energy, I felt very intimidated with it. I figured, how can I possibly know the technology of wind turbines enough to be able to communicate it with my students in a mathematical way? So I decided to go at it from a different angle, and I decided to go through a storyline. So in the first lesson is adding fractions, the second is subtracting fractions, and then the third lesson is both combined in terms of word problems. So the first lesson is basically like if 20 people live in a apartment building and they have one turbine and their population doubles, how many more wind turbines will they need to accommodate? So it was more about cumulative power production and less about actually the functioning inner workings of a wind turbine. And that's how I felt I could tell the story. It's also strong on social emotional learning, because throughout each of the lessons, it has to do with families moving in and moving out. And I've been seeing that happen more often now than I have in previous years, where families are kind of in transit. where some families come and they might only stay in a community for a year and then have to leave and then join another community and a new school system. So a lot of the word problems are based around that kind of a situation. How can we incorporate students into our classrooms and make them feel good? The word problems really strive for empathy. If 1/3 of the residents of a school district had to leave, from a fraction subtraction standpoint, how many are left? And so it just really, I think some of the students could identify with that. How can we feel good about leaving? How can we celebrate when people are leaving in a positive way? How can we welcome new ones into the community? And then the last slide I really like because it shows how the story is about how students plan to share information. So they divvy up their responsibilities towards one whole project, and so that is done from a mathematical point of view. And the other neat thing is it shows you the locations in New Jersey that these situations are taking place, like with a map of New Jersey, and it has like an arrow showing, oh, this is, I think it's Rahway is one of the places I use. Trenton was another. So there's a little bit of New Jersey geography in it. So that's what I did. I was a little intimidated about, again, the technology of turbines, so I decided to come at it from a story instead about communities, in installing wind turbines. The other thing that's neat is you always hear about wind turbines you always hear about them being like offshore or in like prairie-like situations where things are wide open. You don't really hear them so much about being in urban populations, but the technology is becoming so that it's possible that these small turbines will come and that they can be put on top of an apartment building. And so I think just even that exposure that, you're not seeing it yet, but it's coming one day. And so that was where I went with that. I hope that wasn't just too confusing.
No, that's amazing, Pam. I love how it's very clear how interdisciplinary and that you connected the social emotional and you're just helping to build that foundation, which goes
Yeah.
back to what Rosalie highlighted that they kept hearing about in the teacher PD for K-5 teachers was how to bring this in and in a
The other
way,
thing I
that
could
kids could
say is real
understand.
quick
Go
is
ahead.
that you can use it with any textbook. So it's not like if you're going to teach fractions, you have to teach it this way, because you can teach the lesson and I give you a problem set, but you could just as easily use your own textbook for the problem set. It integrates easily, I think, with any textbook series. Or if you don't have a textbook series, then I have the questions for you. That's all.
So great. So great. Thank you so much, Pam.
Thank you.
We'll keep moving, but I'm sure there will be some questions when we near the end. And here we have Carrie Gallagher, who, as I mentioned previously, is our New Jersey state lead. So we welcome her into that official capacity in that role, as she'll be leading us as the connector. But for tonight, we're going to hear from her as one of our New Jersey fellows.
Hi, everybody. Carrie Gallagher here. It's nice to see you all. So I've been teaching for quite some time, like many of you, and I'm over in Lawrence Township Public Schools. And I've always taken a passion to climate change education, being our district sustainable leader too. So I've always had my hands in a lot of pots. So I was very excited about this project. And I was also very excited about being chosen for the ELA component because I do find ELA to be one of the easiest interdisciplinary areas to address climate change education using different books, especially at the elementary level. It really presents opportunities for genres to be, explored, and climate change education concepts are usually, presented to children in different lights. So I think that's super important. This ELA unit stresses climate change education with the topic of adaptation, as you can see. And it's through skills which are aligned to the student learning standards, as others have mentioned. but it's also providing teachers and students various resources and lots of different modifications and teaching tips. So that's why I feel that this interdisciplinary unit, just like the others, are really going to be great for classrooms, and everything you need is right there. So this obviously has 3 different parts, and it starts with the area of fiction, and then moving on to nonfiction, and then biographies. So there are diverse resources from books to videos to clips. And with that being said, there's a lot of connections, cross-curricular connections that are made. And one thing I really love, especially at this level, are the social emotional learning connections, which, presents that critical thinking, that problem solving, and then it's really intertwining those standard-based skills such as cause and effect, compare and contrast. So even though that sounds like a lot and it's an umbrella of many different concepts, it is laid out there in a very concrete way. And, following that sequence gives students the opportunity to think about adaptation through different lenses, through perspective taking as well. So you will see as well, just like the other ones, there's enriching vocabulary. And I think it is very kid friendly, and it's extremely teacher friendly. And just the way it's laid out, I feel that interdisciplinary education is something that, used to be called multidisciplinary education, but it's now taking more of a front seat. And I think providing teachers with all of these resources, making it easier, it will get us into a routine to start multitasking different concepts and having that cross-curricular conversation that will make climate change education more enriching. So as you can see, there's three really great lessons there. And if you have any questions, I will be here as well.
Thanks so much, Carrie, for sharing all that. We appreciate the work, and these really are tremendous lessons, as have been all that we've learned about so far. So now we will welcome Diane. Welcome, Diane. I have to tell you, I was at a event last week, Diane, and I mentioned that one of our new units focused on lighthouses, and the eyes lit up in the room because it was New Jersey educators. And so it's a great lesson, series of lessons, and I'll let her take it over.
Well, everybody loves a lighthouse, but that's not where I started. I just wanted to start off by saying that the training offered through Subject to Climate really sort of was transformative in terms of how do I approach developing a climate change lesson. I was tasked with a 4th grade social studies lesson that incorporated extreme weather. So being a science teacher, I was taking the topic of extreme weather and the topic of, all right, 4th grade social studies, where are you in history? And right away I was, in Valley Forge with extremely cold winters. And then I was like, okay, now what did the kids do with that? And then as we were simultaneously going through the training, I realized it was, I think, probably said by you, Elaine, that Subject to Climate has such a deep resource bank of tools that you really have to look at what tools are available. And somewhere along the line, it was said, like, we have great tools and we just need lessons to go with them. So I kind of dropped everything and just started to think New Jersey and look at what resources there were. I came across a website or a resource in Subject to Climate that's called My Coast, New Jersey, and it is an organization that they are documenting coastal changes by photographing the coast. And there are photo stations set up in various locations, one at Sandy Hook, one at Liberty State Park, there's one in Cheesequake, one down in Long Beach Island, where people, as they're hiking and walking, can go up to this station and take a picture and upload it up to their website and be essentially contributing to a database of research and documenting change in the coast over time. And so that's kind of where I started with, well, we have so much extreme weather and coastal erosion and change. What is it about history that's threatened on the coast? And then, of course, I came to lighthouses, which is just, to me, classic, iconic, identity. That is part of your identity and part of communities' identities. So my unit is on lighthouses, but on sort of the history of changes in lighthouses and what do they mean to a community and how do they visually represent. So the first lesson is just an overview, and it uses additional tools of like
finding lighthouses. The Lighthouse Society, Historic Society, has great resources. So there's a Find a Lighthouse website where they can click and locate and identify on a map where the different lighthouses are. And there's a video about the history of lighthouses. And then they can design a lighthouse that reflects themselves. So there is a bit in the first lesson about how lighthouses are day marks as well as night marks, because they're each unique. They have their own color pattern, they have their own design, so that you recognize them as community landmarks. And that speaks to sort of personal identity and how you identify a sense of community, but also a sense of yourself. So I think the unit is really good to start your year off, because we often do things in the beginning of the year where we want kids to share something of themselves and how do they see themselves. So the first lesson is sort of centered around that, sort of icons. The middle lesson utilizes additional resources, and Tina mentioned earlier finding a tool that has a slider in it. There are lots of great tools online that will show you changes in coastlines, changes in water rising levels. And so I did find in the second lesson, there's a good website that has a series of things that will show differences in the New Jersey coastline historically, but then also a slider that will allow them to see changes if water levels rise to different levels. So in the middle is a lot of the science of what happens on the coast when you have changes, when you have weather events. There's a piece in there about storms and storm damage. And it culminates with, like, what do you do? What are some strategies for how do you deal with this? Do you lose the lighthouse? Do you move the lighthouse? Do you rebuild the lighthouse? What are ways that people deal with changing coastal communities, even rebuilding houses? Do you move the community, stop living there? So that middle piece has to do with problems and solutions, and offering a variety of solutions. What are different ways that you can deal with a changing coastline? The final lesson is bringing in that your eyes are on the coast, sort of how it starts with a story about a female lighthouse keeper, wife of a lighthouse keeper, and after he died, she took over, which is such a common story among lighthouse keepers, that wives probably worked as hard as their husbands, but weren't really acknowledged. And Katie Walker is a very well-known female lighthouse keeper. So there's a story at the beginning, and within the story, it talks a lot about the opportunity to document history when your job is just to watch, to record. And there's a piece in that final lesson about the different ways in which we record history, whether it's sales receipts, property, marriage licenses, documenting the weather, photographing, just ways we record things by participating in keeping track of things over time. And then finally, in that third lesson, pushes them to go to that My Coast, New Jersey, and see how people upload their own personal pictures at the beach to contribute to this ongoing research of the coast. And then it ends with tasking the class with figuring out a way that they could set up their own photo document project within their own classroom or within their own school, like to pick a location where you take a picture and you repeat that picture either once a week, once a month, once a day if you wanted, and to have them document over the course of their year either changes in themselves, in their school, in their community. And that all speaks to sort of the whole process of science, of collecting data and looking at that, and the importance of collecting data over long periods of time. So that's kind of in a nutshell, the whole unit. But the whole process of really developing these lessons pushes you to look so carefully at what are the choices we make, and what can we add into this lesson to make it richer, deeper. I just was so impressed with the whole training process and going through and pushing us to think, what choice are you making to layer into this that brings kids awareness within the lesson? Like just Pam talking about that math lesson, and choosing the topics you choose to pull into it just deepens and makes the lesson richer. So I really love the subject to climate lessons. They're so well thought out. So thank you for including me.
Thanks so much, Diane. It's just wonderful to hear your story. I also want to encourage anyone who teaches one of these lessons or uses one of the activities or a resource on the website. There is a way to leave a review. if you teach something or work with any of these lessons. And we encourage you to do that because that lets other educators know just how great these resources are, and any tips to share. We appreciate that as well. So we'll continue on now to Larissa Clark. This is our final New Jersey Fellow for this evening. There are others. Unfortunately, all of them couldn't be present on the same day at the exact same time, but we're really grateful for those who were able to be with us tonight. But what's exciting about Larissa is she's a Spanish and ESL teacher in New Jersey, and she also was able to develop a second unit for us. When we had one of our fellows unable to complete the project, she was able to step in. So she has made a lot of lessons in this project, and I'm excited for her to share her story a little bit, her work, and especially highlight what's unique about the Spanish language aspect.
Hi, everyone. So basically, well, I'm also a high school teacher, but I have experience in teaching Spanish through from second through fifth grade. So when I had this opportunity to create this unit, I looked forward to it. And just like Diane had mentioned, one of the things that I felt really overwhelmed in the beginning, trying to kind of narrow down a specific topic. And as Diana mentioned, looking at what was here in New Jersey really helped. So when I was given the task of creating a Spanish unit regarding the life cycle, I looked at the different types of animals that were most prominent here in New Jersey. And one of the things that I saw is that we have a lot of different types of turtles. And I said, hey, who doesn't like turtles? So I decided to focus in on that, and then try to think of ways that I could connect the life cycle of turtles with something that was like culturally appropriate. So while I was going through my research and looking into different type of turtles, I noticed that and found out that there's a specific sea turtle that actually travels from Mexico to the Jersey Shore sometimes. So I thought that was a pretty cool aspect. And I thought that it would be something for students in the elementary level that they would kind of really be interested in. So my units focus on that. So my first lesson for that unit just is a general idea of and focusing on specific types of turtles that we can find in New Jersey and like their different habitats. And then the second unit specifically focuses on the life cycle and how climate change can affect different parts of the life cycle of a sea turtle. And then the last unit focuses on ways that we could help sea turtles here in New Jersey. So within that lesson, they also look at the way that in Mexico, different types of way that they help sea turtles in their life cycle. And I was able to also find out that through the Turtleback Zoo, they actually have a program that teachers can connect with them, where they can help in either doing a field trip or sponsoring a sea turtle. So I thought that was a pretty cool aspect that, especially at the elementary level, that students would be excited about. Is a great engagement piece. So that was the first unit for the sea turtle unit. And then the second unit that I did was about renewable energy. So within this unit, students first learn how to identify the differences between renewable and non-renewable resources. And students get to kind of reflect upon the type of energy that they're using in their house. So I think it's a good way to kind of to allowing students to kind of really think about, okay, what are we using at home? And the second lesson for that unit is giving the students the opportunity to look now at a broader level within the United States, what different areas could be use different renewable energies, and based on the location, what would be like a better renewable energy for that area. So if there's that social study connection. And then the last unit to bring the cultural piece to connect it to, because the world language standards, one of the biggest standard is to make a cultural comparison. So with that, I was able to find a video to incorporate that shows how climate change has affected the country of Puerto Rico and how they are using renewable energy. So I thought with that, being able to kind of make that connection for students was a really great piece because they can see how in other countries they are using renewable energy. Overall, it was like a great experience just being able to create these units. I learned a lot at a professional level, just being able to kind of learn something new in myself while creating these units for other teachers, and just the way like it's formatted and just the time that was put into it. It's really just ready to go for teachers with vocabulary, slides and everything. So it's a really great resource for all teachers. And even if though that this is in Spanish for the elementary level, but depending on the program that the specific district has, it can be used for a Spanish 1 class at a high school level, because it really is just has so much information, and depending on the proficiency level of the students, it lends itself to being used at different grade levels. And then that's it. Thank you for your time.
Larissa, amazing. As you can see, we're grateful for her talents that she was able to be part of us for this project. And across the board, these are only a few examples of the units, but as we highlight, we have 18. So we had 17 educators do exactly what the fellows talked about tonight. And I'll pass it back to Rosalie to share more.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, the final product is we have 18 new units, 54 lessons in total. And it's great because again, we can move, if you go into the lessons, you can modify them. If you make a copy, you could change things around, add things. And I think that's really great for teachers because I think even for me, when I used to teach, I liked doing my own thing. You don't want to feel like a substitute sometimes. So, you want to modify things. So it's really great that we have all these resources, and hopefully we can make some more in the future. So next slide, I just wanted to share some opportunities that Sustainable Jersey currently has. While most of you are elementary school teachers, we do have the New Jersey Student Climate Challenge. This is our 4th year running it. This is mainly for grades 6 through 12, but if you're in a school system that goes up to 6th grade, this is a great opportunity. Students can lead a student-led project that addresses the causes or impacts of climate change within their community or in their school. They do a documentary and a digital story presented to us at Sustainable Jersey, and then students have a chance of winning up to $2,500 for their climate change initiatives. So things like school gardens, maybe they're doing a campaign for anti-idling. Any of these things could work. So submissions are due April 9th, so there's still a lot of time. And then we have an award ceremony at the governor's mansion, and the students get to come and bring one of their parents with them, and they get to even meet Tammy Murphy at the event, which is a really great experience for them. Next slide. Also, we have opportunities for grants for schools. So currently we have the PSNG grant cycle open. It's due March. So what happens is that if you are a registered school, you don't have to be certified to be able to get grants for our program. But if any type of connection to sustainability or any of the actions within our program, we can help fund with $2,000 or $10,000 grants. So we've also funded anything from, learning outdoor classrooms we've done social emotional learning rooms. We've actually provided literature for climate change education, anything like that. So we have over 100 different actions in our program. So if it's connected to our action in any way, you're able to, and you're registered as a school, then you are eligible for these grants. Next slide. And if you are interested in working towards certification as a school, Sustainable Jersey has a certification program that provides a framework of over 100 different actions to help schools to work towards sustainability. So, because a lot of times we don't know how to start, right? How to make schools more sustainable. We have that framework which talks about energy, it talks about gardens, it talks about food waste, and we can help get you guys started in that process. A lot of the stuff you might be already doing in your schools, and all you have to do is provide documentation. It will work towards a point system, and you can become a sustainable school and become certified, whether bronze or silver certification. The first deadline is already has already ended, but you have two more opportunities. And if you're interested, I'm going to say next slide. We have help sessions available. There's a QR code. If you scan the QR code, you can set up an appointment with our program coordinator, Joanna, who is fantastic with helping, talk people through the process, as well as look for like low-hanging fruit of things that you're already doing in your school that you might already be eligible for points. So it's a great opportunity. Next slide. I'm running through this very quickly because I'm in the library at TCNJ and I'm about to get kicked out. So we also have an Energy Empower Schools program, which is a great program that we work with, and it's awesome because they provide everything, the curriculum, the tools, and it's to help measure energy sources in the school. And you have the little kids with their measurements, and they go around the school to kind of think about like energy efficiency. And while they're learning that hands-on experience, I'm pretty sure it's from K through 12, I believe, but they end up taking this education and bringing it home and talking to their parents about energy conservation. So it's another great option for us. I find that elementary school teachers really like this program, and it's also free. So next slide. And I just also wanted to point out, ways to stay connected. So the first two QR codes, the first one we have is if to complete a form to stay connected see, I'm getting kicked out with our state hub, and if you want to sign up for the newsletter for Subject to Climate, right, Elaine, the Subject Climate.
Correct.
And for any new resources or PD opportunities, that's where that QR code is for. And then the last QR code is if you want to sign up for Sustainable Jersey's newsletter. And whenever we have grant cycles, certification cycles, professional development programs, you'll get all that information if you're signed up to our newsletter. Did I miss anything, Elaine, for you? I'm sorry, you can continue.
No, I think that's great. I'll just leave it, for another half of a minute if you want to take a picture of this slide. You can also send an email to Rosalie or myself, and we can connect you with these forms and resources as well. So now it's time for question and answer, and I know that Rosalie is on the clock there in the TCNJ library.
It's okay.
So if there are questions that were put in the chat, or if you just want to unmute and you want to introduce yourself and ask a question while we have our fellows here, feel free.
I'm just gonna move Elaine. They just want me to move, so I'm gonna mute my.
Perfect.
So, Elaine, I'm gonna break the ice.
Great.
Great job to all the educators. Terrific work. So, appreciate all the work you're doing for New Jersey educators and students. Um, I guess the question I have is, do you get approached by or if you are a supervisor or a curriculum person or anyone who's involved with professional development, could you encourage your health educators to get involved with um, providing lessons through health and physical education, making that connection to um, connection with climate change and human behavior, just the condition of the human being and how it impacts the human person. So for me, it's an easy connection when you think about water, food and air, and all the different elements that all of you talked about so eloquently. So if you can encourage those health educators to get more involved and give them a little courage, give them a nudge, bring them in with those interdisciplinary connections, it'd be greatly appreciated.
Thanks. I appreciate that, Lenny. I can highlight that in the first round of lessons that were developed when the hub first launched, we do have some. And so they span K to 12. This particular project was K to 5, but we do have some lessons that are built for New Jersey that do make that connection with health or physical education classes. We had some great teachers in that first opportunity, but we would love to do continual work like this, and perhaps we can set up a meeting and connect Rosalie, Lenny, and I to talk about if there's an opportunity for us to bring another project, and also Carrie Gallagher, our New Jersey state lead, bring her in. She's that third grade teacher in Lawrence, and maybe we can sort of chart a path forward to build out the next round of units or lessons that meet exactly what you're talking about, and bring some more, because we do know these are K to 12 required, and we know all students need it and all teachers need the support. So in whatever way we can do that, we certainly would love to.
Larissa, you have a question about your unit. If any other Spanish units available in English. I mean, Elaine, we have we are you asking for Larissa's unit to be translated specifically in English? Is that what's being asked, Donna?
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
So I think the lessons are written in English for the teacher, um, in the sense of where, like, if you have like the transcript, the questions are both written in English and Spanish if you need to read them as such. But do you mean more for like an English ELA um lesson, or just that the lessons are translated in English?
So I'm a math teacher, and so there are pretty interesting math components to one of the two units anyway that she spoke about. And then when I was, checking in on the website, there was another unit also that seemed to would work with my math curriculum. So I was just wondering, I was like just scrolling through. I didn't want to miss anything during the session here. So I was just wondering if it is in English somewhere, or so that.
Hi, Donna. Donna was my mentee in New Jersey. I saw that name. I was hoping you'd stay and talk to us a bit. Donna's an amazing, amazing New Jersey educator who was part of our New Jersey mentorship program and brought these lessons to her students. I would love to spend a day in her class. Here's what I can say, Donna, about those units and lessons. So if the student-facing materials are all in Spanish, then we don't have an English translation because it was created for a bilingual classroom teaching situation. But the lesson itself, the lesson plan, and any teacher documents or teacher information would be in English for you. So if you needed some help, you know how to find me, and I could help you to build out some of those missing pieces, but I have confidence in you that you could do it as well. But generally, there are a few units, correct, Rosalie, that we did as mirrors. So in these primary grades where it's essentially completely developed in English with slide decks, maybe a few different resources, but the same standards, the same content, the same learning outcomes, one written for the bilingual classroom, one written for the English ELA classroom. So if you search within the New Jersey units, you may find those, but you could also connect with me, and I can connect you to Carrie Gallagher, our new New Jersey state lead, to help walk you through that as well.
Okay, great. It's nice to see you. You look great.
Thanks, Donna. Do we have any other questions? I encourage you to make an account on the New Jersey Climate Education Hub if you haven't already done that. It's in the right-hand corner, super easy to do. Just an email and that sets it up. It's completely a free website. And then you have the ability to click on the little bookmark on each resource or lesson or unit, and then it saves it for you. So you can utilize your time in the classroom, not searching for things, but finding them once and holding on to them in your library. So I would encourage you to do that. And as we said before, if you have questions in the future, you can email Rosalie or you can email me, or we'll get you connected with Carrie Gallagher, and we're happy to help walk you through this project and these resources. And we're really excited about them. Please share them with your network. Please share them with, if you're a supervisor, if you are in a school district, please share them widely.
Oh, I also wanted to, before we go, that wanted to kind of plug in a professional development that we are doing at CCNJ for free. It's for education for sustainability. I'm going to plug that in real quick. Excuse me. Now I get something in my throat. One sec.
Great. Thank you, Megan, for sharing that with your K-5 team. We know that our K-5 teachers are really searching, and this sets the foundation and connects students with nature and their world.
Sorry, I'm back.
Great.
So this event is going to be hosted with Sustainable Jersey and in partnership with Jamie Cloud at the Cloud Institute. And we're going to be talking about the foundational knowledge of education for sustainability, incorporating that into the classroom, and then how to integrate it into unit and curriculum mapping. So it is a free event for March 7th, and I provided the link inside the chat. So if you can join us, that'd be amazing.
And with respect to your time, we see that we are just a couple minutes past 6 o'clock. I'm happy to stay another couple of minutes to answer any particular questions. But we respect your time as educators and appreciate you being here. And thank you so much. And thank you for all that you do. Every single day, you make a difference. Every minute, every day in your classrooms. And we appreciate you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Have a good one.
Take care.